Joining us this morning is Dr. Jonathan Fellus. He's Director of Brain Injury Services at the Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation in New Jersey. You know, Ben just made an interesting point at the end of his piece there, saying that, if an office is basically vacant for 3 months, then they can hold a special election. And there's a lot of hope in Arizona that perhaps Congresswoman Giffords could be that they won't have to be concerned about that with her seat. 3 months, though, is not very much time when it comes to recovery.
3 months would be pretty challenging to have her make sufficient recovery to take office. But as everyone has said, it is a miraculous recovery so far. It is early, and the sooner you see this kind of recovery we're hearing about, certainly the better it is.
And what does that tell you beyond it being, the more that you see early on, the better it is? Does that give you any idea of a timeline for recovery, or even what may be recovered in terms of what was injured?
It's really too early to say, particularly because we don't really have images of the path that the bullet took, how deep, how superficial it was, which structures it hit. So I'd hesitate to guess, but we have a basic understanding of the timeline of how things will unfold.
And we've heard that she actually, you hate to use the word lucky, but in some cases, in terms of her brain injury, was lucky that it was a gunshot and not, for example, an accident. Why is that? Well,
that is one of the more counterintuitive things. You'd think that a gunshot is worse than, say, the kind of accident you get in a sports injury or a car accident or falling on your head. But it turns out that it's just a very discrete path that the bullet can take in some instances. And so it can just hit one or two critical structures rather than shaking up the entire brain as it would in, say, a car accident.
We've heard, too, she could be out and move to a rehabilitation facility in a matter of days. What are the steps that need to happen for us to see that, and what happens when she gets to that rehab facility?
So quickly, you want to make sure that they're medically and neurologically stable. She's got to have her breathing tube, feeding tube in place. Want to make sure that the brain swelling is not overwhelming, that she doesn't have seizures, no infections, blood clots. These are the kind of typical complications we look for early on. At that point, she goes to the rehab facility and starts therapy. The sooner the better.
When you see and hear about all of the signs that there have been in terms of this recovery, is it like anything you've ever seen before? Because it does seem miraculous.
For those on the outside, it is and should be miraculous, but we do see this from time to time. It's certainly on the higher end of expectations, but not out of the realm of possibility. Again, it tells me that maybe the bullet was more superficial and that it just took a fortunate path.
Well, everyone hoping that it continues along this miraculous path. Dr. Fellus, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.